Hello fam, how are you doing? Okay, it's your girl Esther Joy, and she's coming at you with a quick live on YouTube because really wanted to just talk a little bit about what's on my heart. And coincidentally speaking, this is the energy and frequency of neutrality. Now, I believe that there's a good form of neutrality, and there might be more of a cowardly form of neutrality, if you will. And I wanted to just talk about both of those and share a little bit about how this is applied in life, how we can apply it in life to really get the most out of riding the waves of our life experience. So yeah, thank you for joining, thank you for watching with me, and let's just dive into it, okay? Because this is going to be a quick one. So first off, neutrality in itself, I think we can look at the world and we see that it is the only neutral thing we can see is nature. It doesn't really discriminate. The trees don't grow in certain people's yards because they like them or not. They just grow because they can grow. You know, nature doesn't really discriminate, and the polarities, you know, are kind of very neutral. And what's up, Sir Jester? So with that being said, when we look at the natural world around us, we see that it actually has a pretty natural, neutral way of interacting with all life force. Now, we can see this ginormous split happening in the world. It's getting crazy. Things are chaotic. I don't even need to tell you for you to know what I'm talking about. If you in this planet, you've seen what's going on, and that's what's going on. It's crazy. And a lot of the times it's easy to get sucked up in these energies of feeling angry or upset or entitled or just, you know, feeling like not enough or stripped away of something that you should have. There's just so many emotions that we can feel during this time. It's actually it's valid. It's valid to feel these emotions. I think we all have them to one extent or another. But I feel like it's important, now more than ever, with everything that's going on, to look at the natural world and use it as a tool to assist you in neutralizing these energies. Now, I know in one of my videos, Vibe School, if you haven't seen it, there's a whole playlist. I talk about the energy, the frequency, the vibration of neutrality. And in that video, I say that neutrality may be more important than enlightenment. And I wanted to share a little bit of why I said that and what my thoughts were behind that, because it's a really good question to the person who commented and asked. So when we are neutral, when we are in a state of neutrality, we have opened ourselves up, our heart space up, to experience whatever it is. And good morning, Adam. So there is no expectancy. There is this releasing of expectations that allow your experience to be truly unique and genuine. And my dog just ran off to find a squirrel. Jedi, come here! Okay. But with that being said, you are the one experiencing this. So let's put this into context of the polarities. We have positive and we have negative. And you are somewhere in between. If you are truly in the middle of these polarities, you be vibing in this neutral state. This neutral state does not waver from one side to another. It is just allowing the polarities to bring it back. So there's an equal give and take on both sides. And when you're in this equal give and take of positive and negative polarities, it becomes a lot easier for you to allow the energies to actually work for you in balancing you. Because when you're in a neutral state, you are not being pushed or pulled, and you're neutralizing those energies. So why do I think that it's actually maybe not more important than enlightenment, but extremely important if one ever wants to reach enlightenment, whatever that is, right? Well, first we have to give up our expectations of what we believe enlightenment is, of what we think enlightenment will bring us. Whether we think that it's super polarizing positive, Jedi come! Or if we feel like it's super polarizing negative. Thank you, good boy. So there's always going to be a push and pull. And there's always going to be good and bad. This is a part of the world that we live on, okay? This is a part of the 3D Earth experience. And we need these energies, but it's so important to remain at a neutral state. Now, people might look at you and your life choices and be like, good rising. They might literally be like, oh my gosh, how can you like choose such a thing? And if you're not coming from a neutral place, that's going to mess with your polarizations. That's going to push you in one side or the other. So it's important to come from that neutral space, especially when you're interacting with others during this time, because things are going to be said with the intention to charge your emotions, to make it more difficult for you to keep that balance. So when you are aware that you have the opportunity to bring your being into a neutral state and neutralize that energy, like think of someone who's trying to make you mad, trying to just really get under your skin. If you come from a neutral spot, not only are you going to neutralize the emotions that you feel, but you're also going to de-arm these people that are trying to take those emotions from you and use them for their own agenda. It's so important in so many ways to just allow yourself to come from a neutral state. In my own life, I find that there were certain occurrences that I wanted to happen with school, wanted things to go smoothly with that, but more importantly, I realized that if I come from a neutral state, it doesn't really matter what happens with school or the people, as long as I can allow myself to be grounded and allow myself to realize that, hey, these things are gonna happen, so I might as well just accept them, bring the space to them, and allow that energy to be transformed. I couldn't transform this energy if I was coming from a place of resentment, because I would already have resentful energy. And I couldn't come from this place of pretty much any energy, because then I fill that space with that energy. But when I neutralize the energy, when I come from a neutral spot, it actually allows for that energy to be transmuted and transformed. If you are not neutral with whatever energy you want in your life, whether it's a manifestation, if you can't come from a neutral space, then you don't have space for that manifestation to come through. So I can use the example of someone who really wants money because they're really tight on cash and their electric bill might come out. If they aren't able to come from a neutral spot of like, okay, the money will come, I can release attachments, and I kind of can allow myself to trust that the universe is going to flow through me, they're going to have in their heart a space of resentment. I really, really need money. They're going to be desperate for that money, and that's not a neutral space. That is a space of desperation. So when you are reflecting on being in a more neutral space, you have to acknowledge that we all have poles in polarization. There are always going to be parts of you that are going to want something and have expectations for something to go a certain way. But just like I'm pretty sure a tree isn't like, man, I really want my branch to be like just obviously growing in a certain direction, they kind of release expectations and they allow themselves to naturally grow into a place that will best fit and suit them. So you know that whole Bruce Lee quote, like, be like water? Well, that's what we're going to say neutrality really helps you do. It allows you to give the space to the things that you want and to experience even the things that you don't, so that you can release them. Neutrality is such a powerful tool, and though many people see it as a sign of weakness or not feeling, it is so important to have this tool belt under your spiritual, I can't even think of the word. Armory. So really, really important. Again, this is just supposed to be a quick video to remind you of the power of neutrality. that if you want enlightenment, if you want to have those manifestations in your life, then you have to be okay with them not being there and come from a neutral space, knowing that if you are truly in a neutral space, then you'll truly give space for these manifestations to come in due time. Neutrality goes really hand in hand with patience. When you are patient, you are really just allowing the time to align, and you're not really fretting about when that time is. There are so many things I could go into with the power of neutrality, but for now, just bring awareness to any really charged emotion, especially around the jab, because I know a lot of people are so charged, and that charged energy is what is creating the reality that they are in. If you come from a neutral place, it doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean giving up. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of freak out, because they're like, does neutral mean surrendering? Does neutral mean that I'm not, in my power? And no, it actually means the opposite. If you can allow yourself to be neutral in a state where most of the world is panicked and really freaking out and grasping on this energy that actually isn't energetically healthy for them, if you can allow yourself to be just neutral, you can allow that energy to pass through you, and this is a process of letting go of that energy so that you can have space to transmute it and transform that energy. So no, being neutral is actually the best thing that you can do. It doesn't mean being wishy-washy and going from one side or the other, or being a doormat. It just simply means that you release expectations to allow for more space for transmutation of energy to take place. If you continue being resistant and stubborn with your energy, which, trust me, I feel that so hard, fam. I literally made a video saying I'm dropping out of school, and now here I am, figuring out what is good with school. So I feel very, very much like coming from a neutral space allows for you to just be like, all right, cool, this is happening. I'm going to release all of the stubbornness, all of the pride, all of the spiritual ego that really tries to tell you that this is the best way, this is how things should be. And trust me, it's super duper stubborn. It doesn't want to be wrong. It's an ego for a reason. But when you come from a neutral space of actually, I'm not going to label myself with that ego, I'm just going to allow myself to be as I am, you allow for the portal of multidimensionality to really take place, because you're not putting yourself in a box of what you thought you were. So there are a lot of ways we could look at neutrality, but if you ever want to really excel in your spiritual awakening journey, then you need to have it with you. You need to bring a good awareness. You need to practice neutrality, whether it's certain situations or people, or just there's so many things that could trigger the energetic body. It's so important to come from a neutral space. Take a breath, look at nature. It's just doing its thing. It's coming from a neutral space. That's why it gives us the space, the air that we need to breathe. It doesn't judge us. It's just there. And the more that we can kind of allow ourselves to be there, we can allow the other energies in our life to be there. But not only that, neutralize it. And when we neutralize it, it's almost like you give it a new life. You allow that energy to now be seen in a new light that originally you couldn't have seen, because you already had labeled it and put on energetic boundaries. Break those boundaries. Be more neutral with your life. It's okay, all right? You don't need to label things good or bad, but just have a clear understanding that it is a beautiful time to come from a neutral space, because if you don't come from a neutral space, then you may find yourself being caught in the waves of emotions and frequencies and polarizations that are happening now. So allow yourself to be here. Allow yourself to know it's okay. Be aware. And bring neutrality back into your life, whatever that looks like. Whether it's literally just not getting in a fight with your family, which really gets on your nerves, or going to school after you said you weren't because maybe you're being super stubborn and hard-headed. It's time to bring back the neutrality. It's time to allow yourself to be. Again, it doesn't mean you're weak. It actually takes a lot of strength to bring neutrality to anything. And the biggest leaders are able to do that. They're able to take the elite superpowers that are suppressing the people and the people that are really mad at them and bring everyone into a neutral state of agreeance where they can see what's happening on and that energy can be transformed. So if you want to be the leader of your own life, then you have to begin with being in a more neutral state. If you want to reach enlightenment, then you have to be okay with not knowing what that looks like and forgetting, what people tell you sometimes, because it really is an individual journey. And anyways, that's really all I have for you in this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me on this live. I super duper appreciate it. And let me know, what are you trying to be more neutral in? Because a lot of the times I think we get a little caught up. We get a little caught up in the big goal, and we forget to let go of expectations and just allow them to be. So let me know. I'm here to be with you, fam. We're all going through it, but the more we can come from a neutral place, the less it will affect us, and literally that energy, those bad vibes, will phase right through us because we have better things to focus on and to hold our space with. Alrighty, Jedi, you want to say bye? Yeah? Alright, cool. Well, have an amazing rest of your day. Namaste, God bless, and keep coming from a neutral space. I promise it's not weakness, it's actually a lot of strength, and I'll see you in the next video. You can press thumbs up if you would like me to talk more about this, so I know. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your day.